Okay, welcome to the March 26th meeting of the Southborough Historical Commission at 7:02 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order by noting that besides myself here, we have in attendance Vice Chair Annie Pfaff, Grant Farrington, Dan Blanchard, and Kelly O'Brien. And the purpose of this meeting, this is at the request of CPC. As you know, we have this um, article that'll come up in town meeting a week from Monday. Um, Requesting CPC funding to help restore or to restore the granite post and iron rail fencing that um, basically kind of surrounds the common from one end of Common Street to the other in the east end by the All Wars Memorial, and it comes up and around Common Street and has its terminus is near, of course, at the west end, near the historic water trough from, I believe it's 1878 or 1875. So that's the subject. And, of course, we, voted to co-sponsor this article. And I think there was some, a little bit of just procedural kind of confusion back and forth because I thought that was the fact that we were co-sponsors indicated that we were for it, but CPC just per their rules requires um, two votes, which we're here to take tonight, and obviously vote how you please. But of course, again, we're the official co-sponsors of this. Apparently, the language didn't get into the warrant, and I was, disappointed in that, and talked to Andrew Dennington about it. And we're going to try to rectify that on the town floor. He's anticipating, Andrew, that is, presenting with my assistance. So I expect to be, beside him when we present this on the floor of town meeting, and hopefully get an affirmative vote and get the money again to restore the fencing to the way it was, 120 plus years ago. So what CPC has asked me for, the new chair, Lise Braccio, has asked me to take two very specific votes um, affirming our support for the article. And again, these are really just procedural. So I'm going to read to you. I asked Lisa for the kind of exact verbiage that she would like to see in these motions. And so she sent me a kind of template of language that's used in the past. And I filled that language in appropriately to, what we're asking for here. Does that make sense to everybody? So, as little as I like as chair to be making the motions, in this case, I will. I mean, I'll read you each motion, and then if there's any discussion, we can have it, and we'll just put it to a vote. So the first motion is that the Southborough Historical Commission determines that the granite post and iron rail fencing that defines the Common Street boundary of the town common from the All Wars Memorial at the east end of the common to the historic watering trough at the west end of the common is significant in the history, architecture, and culture of Southborough. That's the motion. Is there any discussion on that or question about that? We're asking to affirm, in other words, that we view this, in this case, fencing as an artifact or really a piece of the built environment, has historic, I believe, architectural and cultural significance. I won't get into the details of the cultural significance, but it really goes to defining the common as a specific space. When in 1727 and through the rest of the 18th century and most of the 19th century, there was no real definition of the common. That only happened after the building of the Civil War obelisk, which was originally, that area was fenced with a wooden fence, which eventually gave way post 1880 to the fence that we have there today. So it is actually, even as a a kind of defining an architectural element. It's very significant to Southborough's history, but that's the request, that we vote first that it's has historic significance. And then I'll explain the second vote. But is there any question about this first motion? No? All right, let me just make it again formally, and then someone can second if they would. So I move that the Southborough Historical Commission determine that the granite post and iron rail fencing that defines the common street boundary of the town common from the All Wars Memorial at the east end of the common to the historic watering trough at the west end of the common is significant in the history, architecture, and culture of Southborough.
Second.
Thank you, Grant. Chair's made the motion. Grant has seconded. Roll call vote. Miller's aye. Annie.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. 5-0. So the second vote that we're being asked to take is with regard to an endorsement of the specific CPC application. So this motion, as I have it, reads, the Southborough Historical Commission has reviewed the Joint Select Board Historical Commission CPA application for the Town Common Fencing Project, and we support the project as described in the application for the following reasons, and I've given them, which is the fence is a key contributing element to the Town Common, significant historically, culturally, and architecturally, as it encompasses and unites multiple historic assets on the common. Well over 100 years old, elements of the fence are currently in disrepair and require restoration prior to Southborough's tricentennial celebration in 2027. So that language was optional, but I was trying to make the point that, in fact, this fence in a way kind of embraces a number of elements, the All Wars Memorial, the water trough, the World War I howitzer, the Civil War obelisk, and the plaque marking. We've talked a lot about that. James Burke, the young man who was the first Southborough casualty in the First World War. So there are a number of elements there that are basically defined by that fence. Again, any question about what the vote? This vote is, again, is the specific endorsement of the thing that we're co-sponsoring. Any questions about that? No? All right. So I'm going to make the motion again. Just now I'll make the motion. I move that the Southborough Historical Commission, I move the Southborough Historical Commission has reviewed the Joint Select Board Historical Commission CPA application for the Town Common Fencing Project, and we support the project as described in the application for the following reasons. The fence is a key contributing element to the Town Common, significant historically, culturally, and architecturally, as it encompasses and unites multiple historic assets on the common. Well over 100 years old, elements of the fence are currently in disrepair and require restoration prior to Southborough's tricentennial celebration in 2027. That is not the most elegant bit of prose I've ever come up with, but thank you for the second.
I'll second it so you don't have to read it again, Kevin.
Yeah, thank God. I just want to give them enough so that there's no questions. So motion made by the chair, seconded by Grant. Roll call vote. Miller's aye. Annie?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Dan?
Yep.
5-0. Thank you very much. I've done that in 9 minutes.
Kevin, would you mind sending me the exact language of the motions? If it looked like you had it written out.
Yes.
That would be helpful. So I'll get the minutes and we can approve them at our meeting on the 3rd, and then that way CPC will have it.
Yeah, folks, I will do that, Grant, forthwith. The goal here is Grant writes these minutes up real quick, and then when we have our regularly scheduled meeting of next Thursday, we approve those minutes so that then we can, CPC can go to town meeting and say, this has all been, the I's dotted and T's crossed. I have nothing else on the agenda, so motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay, so I guess I made the motion to adjourn. Kelly seconded. Thank you so much. Miller's aye. Annie?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank
you.
you.
Next
Great
Thursday.
job, team.
Bye. Thank you.
See you next week.